So we're now in Reims, and we're at the Basilica of Saint Remi when we're looking at the west front. This church is important architecturally. We'll see that when we go inside. But the reason it's important anyway is because this is where Clovis, who was the first king of the Franks, and he was the founder of the Merovingian dynasty, he was baptized here. He was baptized here by the Bishop Remi, and who later became a saint, and so this basilica became a pilgrim center as it contains the relics of Saint Remi. Now, Clovis was considered the founding act of the Christian kingdom of the Franks, which of course prefigures France. And during the baptism of Clovis, legend tells us that a dove came with a bottle of oil. It became known as the Holy Ampulla. So we've stepped inside, and we start by looking at the west front from the inside. And we can quickly see that the nave area is Romanesque with those semicircular arches. Once we get to the choir area, there's a dramatic change to Gothic. And this is still that early experimental stage of Gothic. So we have 4 levels. We have the ambulatory, the gallery, the triforium, and the clerestory, with those beautiful lancet windows in the gallery and the clerestory levels. You'll also notice that this area, the choir area, is very wide. It's wider than you'll see in most other churches. So here's a still photo of the choir area to give you a chance to look at it a little bit more closely. We're, of course, looking at the high altar and with the 4 levels behind it. You'll notice that on that ambulatory level, there's also light coming in. These are from the windows that are in all those chapels that are around the ambulatory. We're looking at the tomb of Saint Remi. You can see that it's really quite spectacular here. Actually, this is a replica because the original was damaged during the French Revolution. But you'll notice the generous space around it, and pilgrims can still come. Saint Remi was a very important saint, and they needed plenty of room for all the pilgrims. Before we leave Saint Remi, let's take this one last view, and obviously we're on the outside. We're looking at the east end, and let's spend some time on those 3 levels. The first level is where you have a chapel that's outside of the ambulatory on the east end. The second level is that gallery level of the east end. And the third level from the outside is the clerestory. You really can't see anything with that triforium from the outside. What's interesting here is that we have 3 windows at each level. It's a composition of 3 windows. You have 3 portals usually going into a Christian cathedral or church. And eventually Gothic evolves to where there are 3 levels. And you have to ask, what is there in terms of a connection to the Trinity? The only problem is that the concept of 3 really predates Christianity. It's found in the Roman triumphal arches. Many times there will be 3 entries there. So even people like Suger wonder if there's a connection and certainly consider it. But we have to be aware that it does seem to predate the Christian church.